There's a quiet belief many people carry without realizing it. That staying silent means losing. That not responding is the same as accepting. That walking away without explanation is a sign of weakness. But interestingly, the most stable, respected, and hard to manipulate people are almost never trying to prove anything. While most get pulled into disputes just to be heard, a few choose something counterintuitive. They protect their energy, keep their posture, and leave without noise. And that changes everything. The paradox is simple and uncomfortable. The more someone tries to justify themselves, the less power they project. The more they react, the more predictable they become. Strategic silence isn't running away. It's understanding that not every provocation deserves a response. Not every mess deserves an explanation, and not every relationship deserves access. This isn't about swallowing disrespect. It's about something rarer. Knowing when walking away silently is the strongest position you can take. Real power doesn't need a stage, doesn't beg for understanding, and definitely doesn't need proof. Provocation almost never comes from a search for truth. It comes from a hunger for reaction. There's always an invisible script behind someone who provokes. An expected response, a specific tone, an emotional explosion that validates the conflict. When the reaction comes on impulse, the game is already lost. The trap is making you believe you have to respond to keep respect, when in reality, responding only feeds the show. Strategic silence here isn't omission. It's accurate reading of the situation. Seeing that not every voice deserves a stage and not every attack deserves an audience. The analogy is simple. Someone pokes a button expecting sparks. When nothing happens, the provocateur loses control of the scene. The discomfort shifts sides. Silence breaks the script, dismantles the plan, and exposes the real intention behind the provocation. In real life, this shows up at work, in family comments, or social media jabs. The microaction is small but powerful. Pause, breathe, hold your posture, and don't give the other person what they want, your emotional reaction. And interestingly, in that empty space of no response, something starts to reveal itself. Because not every provocation is about you. Many are about what comes next. There's a subtle but crucial difference between talking to build understanding and talking just to defend yourself. Not every conversation wants clarity. Some want exhaustion. The listener has already decided what they'll hear before you finish explaining. In that scenario, every argument becomes fuel for more distortion, more biased questions, more mental drain. The common mistake is insisting, believing the next sentence will finally make it click. But when the other person's intention isn't to understand, explaining doesn't solve anything. It just burns energy that could be used far more wisely. The analogy is almost physical, trying to hold water with just your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Consistent actions speak with a clarity long explanations never reach. In professional settings, steady results often silence doubts no justification could. In personal relationships, firm boundaries communicate more than emotional speeches. The microaction here is awareness. Notice whether the conversation brings progress or only drain. And when it's clear there's only depletion, an uncomfortable necessary question appears. What happens when this dynamic stops being private and gains an audience? Public disrespect often comes disguised. Subtle sarcasm, constant interruptions, jokes, with enough venom to destabilize. The trap is reacting in the heat of the moment because once you do, you enter the show. The focus shifts from the inappropriate behavior to your emotional reaction. In that instant, the narrative flips, and the one who tried to expose ends up exposed. Silence here isn't submission. It's refined control of the scene. It's knowing that posture communicates as much as words, sometimes even more. The analogy helps. A room gets uncomfortable when only one person is making noise. Without a comeback, forced laughter, or counterattack, the disrespectful behavior starts echoing on its own. The embarrassment changes sides. In practice, this can mean holding eye contact, adjusting your posture, and continuing the conversation without bending to the moment. The microaction is staying present without feeding the episode. And it's interesting how, once silence enters, some people try to regain control in other ways, sometimes by twisting what was said earlier. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from open conflict, but from constant distortion. You explain something clearly, calmly, but minutes later it comes back warped, out of context, almost unrecognizable. Every attempt to correct it seems to make things worse, as if the conversation is always one step behind the misunderstanding. This is a clear sign it's not a communication problem, but a game where confusion is strategic. Continuing to explain doesn't bring clarity. It only extends the maze. The analogy makes it clear. It's like entering a labyrinth where the other person controls the exit. What feels like a solution is just another corridor designed to keep you lost. The real exit isn't the perfect argument. It's stopping the walk altogether. Saying it once, calmly and clearly with a boundary, is usually enough. After that, time and consistent behavior do what words can't. The microaction is simple and mature. Communicate once with clarity, then refuse further justification. Interestingly, when this game loses fuel, another kind of attack often appears, a rumor. Rumors don't survive on facts. They survive on attention. The more energy you spend trying to debunk every version, the more alive the story becomes. There's a common illusion that responding quickly will fix the narrative, when in reality it just confirms the game worked. Those who spread distorted versions often count on exactly that reaction. Rushed defense, public justification, visible emotional wear. Strategic silence here isn't naivety. It's refusing to feed something that lives on noise. The analogy is simple and powerful. Shadows look huge in the dark, but shrink when light appears. And that light is consistent behavior over time. In real life, solid reputations are built through repeated actions, not isolated responses. At work, ethical results speak louder than any rumor. Socially, coherence between words and actions dismantles lies without spectacle. The microaction is keeping your conduct clean and moving forward, even when every instinct wants to explain everything. And interestingly, sometimes the hardest silence isn't external, but when someone simply disappears. Silent distance often hurts more than harsh words. There's no argument, no closure, no clear story, just absence. The mind fills the gaps with assumptions, replays old conversations, searches for signs that may never have existed. The trap is turning that absence into a personal problem that must be solved at any cost. But silence also communicates. When someone chooses not to explain, that choice itself is a message, even if it's uncomfortable. The reframe changes everything. Not every distance is failure. Sometimes it's a filter. Not every exit is rejection. Many are realignment. Chasing answers that don't come often costs dignity and emotional energy. Practically, the microaction is accepting the fact as it is, without trading self-worth for scraps of clarity. Continuing to live with integrity, focus, and direction is often the most mature response possible. And when this kind of silence is understood, a deeper sense of power forms. One that doesn't depend on approval, explanation, or applause. Along this path, one thing becomes clear. Silence isn't absence of strength. It's presence of discernment. Every situation points to the same principle. The less someone tries to prove their value, the more that value stands on its own. Real change begins when reactions stop being automatic and actions become chosen. It's not about winning arguments. It's about leaving them whole. Applying this daily requires awareness, pause, and the courage not to do what everyone expects, especially when the ego demands an immediate reply. So here's an honest question. Where has automatic reaction been running your decisions? Where could silence have protected your energy, clarity, or dignity? Which conversations could be dropped, not out of fear, but emotional intelligence? If this brought you a sincere insight, apply it today, even in something small. And if you want to keep deepening this kind of quiet strength, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep learning how to build a power that makes no noise but changes everything. Thank you, and let's keep walking into the Stoic Innerverse.